Okay, so I might get a little bit of backlash for this because I made a video on Taylor Swift and how she has the most incredibly devious marketing strategies I have ever seen in my life. This video is going to have various different components in it because I think that what is happening with Taylor Swift's image, like I made reference to in my last video, is so interesting, especially with what I've found out linked to celebrity blockout. And I've been very, very vocal in the fact that I do support the celebrity blockout movement, where people have plain and simply just had enough of influencers, higher up celebrities not using their platform for any good. They're not talking about various different situations that are going on around the world, in Palestine, in the Congo, in Sudan, Ukraine, various places around the world. No one's really talking about it. And you do have people who will say, well, they're just influencers, they're just celebrities, it doesn't matter. But some of the stuff specifically about Taylor Swift that I have found out will really make you double question that. This is not the only thing that this video is about, by the way. I also want to talk about her really scammy tactics, manipulating her audience to keep on buying the same album with just a couple extra things hidden in it. She's had so many new releases out recently, and it basically just involves slowly leaking additional tracks so that her audience has to keep on buying the same album over and over and over again. But this is all a part of her very clever marketing strategy, which I think needs to be studied because it's really quite something.
I was in the top 1% of the listeners last year of Taylor Swift. And I'll pause for a moment of silence. Yes, I have liked her music forever. I'm sorry. I just blocked her. It was an easy block. It was almost so easy that I don't understand why people can't do it.
Off the bat with the whole celebrity blockout movement. If you want to hear more about it, where it originally stemmed from, please go and watch the video linked in my description box because it is very important. What they call Taylor Swift fans are Swifties, and some of these people are very scary. I'll be completely honest. Very scary, to the point where not a lot of people really like making videos criticizing Taylor Swift because they will get a bombardment of people attacking them for simply having an opinion and shining some light on some areas of Taylor Swift that are not very good girl image, which is kind of what I'm going to do. So this argument over, can Taylor Swift do anything? What is her plan? She can't say anything. I found this TikTok.
Today is the day I block Taylor Swift. And I say this with a heavy heart. I consider myself a Swiftie. I've loved Taylor, loved her music ever since debut. I went to the Eras tour. Here I am at the Eras tour in August of last year. And unfortunately, her time has come and passed to say something, and we can no longer just sit by and do nothing about it. And if you're one of those Swifties who think, oh, what would Taylor saying anything do about Palestine? I'm going to show you the receipts. She made one post last year about voting in the primaries, and 35,000 people registered. And when she broke her political silence in 2018, over 100,000 people registered to vote. Lest we forget, she wrote a protest song in 2020 and made a whole documentary about how she wished she had said something earlier than she did, via Trump, via all these issues, and yet here we are, and she's said and done nothing of value.
And I remember this era of Taylor Swift where she said, I want to get more vocal. She managed to get a load of people to sign up just by simply making that statement. She has a lot of power over millennials who remember her kind of back when. I remember her, Love Story, all of that ages ago. That's kind of how I came across her. But then she also has a lot of fans that are teenagers. She resonates with a very large percentage of people, hence, pop music. She has managed to make her audience feel as if she is their friend, as if, by her sharing these voice memos, which we're going to get onto in just a minute, she is somehow close to you. You know a little bit about her. She's sharing all this information. She comes across, as if she's your friend, when in actuality, she's a billionaire. She is a billionaire, and there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. One of the things that people will argue, especially about this Block 2024 movement, is that her and Selena Gomez had attended this New York comedy show raising money towards humanitarian relief in Gaza. That was on Friday, the 8th of December. Now, they attended this event. The singers attended the show in Brooklyn, New York, hosted by comedian star Rami Youssef. Proceeds from the show went towards ANERA, American Near East Refugee Aid, a charity providing humanitarian relief in Gaza. So even though they weren't the ones donating, they attended this event where all proceeds went. One thing that really does bug me about the capitalism that is Taylor Swift is the fact that I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but she's partnered up with a pretty big credit card company called Capital One. Capital One basically, for a while when she was doing her Eras tour, you had to actually sign up to this credit card in order to be able to get like VIP access or whatever was going on. If you go onto the Taylor Swift website, I will leave little bits up here. You've actually got to sign up to this credit card to be able to receive bonuses and free, extra little bits. People do not give a freaking shit if she is partnering up with a major credit card company, knowing full well that a vast majority of her fan base are going to be 18, 19-year-olds signing up to this credit card, which they're then going to have to start spending on and then get into a lot of debt. But this billionaire doesn't mind doing that. Now, you may be wondering why. Why do you care so much about Capital One? Capital One was part of a $500 million loan deal with a consortium of lenders into Elbit Systems Limited, the Israeli weapons manufacturer. Then go on to the source of where this came from. You'll be able to find out all of the different banks that were donating a hell of a lot of money for the weaponry for the Israelis. I'm going to leave all the receipts there. So there's a very, very, very strong inclination that by her partnering up with Capital One, very, very high percentage that Taylor Swift is not going to speak out. Because by speaking out, that is going against one of her biggest sponsors partnerships, which is Capital One, which is also used to sell credit cards to young adults who then get into debt just to see her live. Can no one see the issue that is going on here? You take out the political standpoint of it on the fact that this is where they're putting their money. If you take that out, you're still dealing with a billionaire who is trying to convince her young audience to get into debt just to see her. I made this point on my last video and so many people were like, what the hell? Honestly, if you go onto her, if you type in Taylor Swift Capital One, go to her website. You'll be astounded with the amount of things that you actually need to sign up to this credit card in order to get her stuff. I actually think it's sickening. And it's also sickening knowing where their money is going to as well. For me personally, I would assume that is a pretty big reasoning as to why she's not said anything publicly. But she has attended a comedy club, but she hasn't written anything. She hasn't posted a fundraiser. She hasn't done anything like that. And bearing in mind she has the influence and the power to do so, she doesn't. So I'm really sick and tired of the Swifties coming on, acting as if she really is like a girl's girl. She's there for everyone. She's really not. She's very well marketed.
Now, both these approaches have their pros and cons, but from a marketing perspective, Taylor Swift's brand is actually a lot stronger than Beyonce's because of its ability to breed parasocial relationships with her fans. And as we've established, Taylor Swift is a corporation, and this corporation's success solely relies on Taylor Swift's ability to present herself as the BFF to her fans. A perfect example of this would be inviting her fans over to her home to bake cookies with her and listen to her album release. Now, although this is painted as a very benevolent gesture by the media, anybody with a marketing background understands that where there is money to be made and where there is a personal brand that is worth $1 billion, $2 billion. These are, of course, very intentional decisions and intentional marketing decisions to utilize psychology to influence her fans, who are typically younger, to ensure that they continuously support her financially.
And got this whole separate side to this kettle of fish. Okay, so Taylor Swift, she did this thing, the Tortured Poets Department, which as a collective is not one of her greatest pieces of work if you're talking about it from a Is it digestible for the everyday listener? It's mostly to do with the fans. I'm going to be honest with you, the fans are rabid. The fans are a real issue, but that's mainly because of her marketing. The Tortured Poets Department digital album plus bonus track, Cassandra, first draft phone memo. Available for 6 hours. Already released this album. She actually released the album, and then less than like a few days later, she then released another part of the album where you actually had to buy the whole album again in order to get those additional tracks, and she does this all the time. And it's a really sneaky way of her being able to like get people to spend more money, because if she was actually, you know, just in it for the fans, she would just release those songs separately, wouldn't add it onto the album. But now she's doing first draft phone memo. No idea what this is, but she's got several of them. This is how she persuades people to get to, you know, stay and to actually keep on buying her music, because she makes it really personable, you know. I'd written so much tortured poetry in the past 2 years and wanted to share it all with you, so here's the second installment of the Tortured Poet Department. The anthology, 15 extra songs, and now the story isn't mine anymore, ... It's all yours. If you buy this, you're really getting this like secret insight into my life, and her fan base eat it up, and they will continue buying the same album with like an extra song in it. Like they'll keep on doing it, and she's been doing this like slow milking out release. What do you call that in the games? They do that a lot in EA games, and I can't remember what you call it when you're, you know, playing a game, but then to unlock the next bit you've then got to, I've completely forgotten it, and I actually really like playing games, but I'm sure if you play games you know exactly what I'm trying to say. She's already put out the album, okay? The album's already been put out. We have seen this album, okay? She's put out various different variants of this album. Of course, all the Swifties will buy it all because they want to own every single little piece. Like, in what universe would you buy the same album again and again and again and again with just 1 or 2 extra things added to it? It makes no sense. Mention the fact you got to bloody subscribe to a credit card company. But she also released it on the same day that Billie Eilish had put out her new album. And this is by no means an accident, okay? If you look, like, all of these major pop stars know when each other's albums are going to be dropping. I actually watched this TikTok quite recently where they were talking about it in a very technical sense with, like, the pressing and all of that, and the fact that people, like, you want to be able to give respect to your, you know, competitors or whatever you want to call it. Give respect to them by doing it on a different day. Like, to be as big as Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift, they would have known when their albums are going to be dropping. And Taylor Swift has a habit of doing this. She did it to SZA, she did it to Katy Perry, she did it to now Billie Eilish. She does it on the same. In fact, I actually found this off of Twitter. I can't call it X, I just call it Twitter. I saw this thing, which literally confirmed exactly what I thought. She does do this. It's by no coincidence. Like, it's no coincidence at
Swift trying to block Billie Eilish from reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. As we all know, Billie Eilish just released her new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, which in my opinion has no skips on it. It is phenomenal. And interestingly enough, the same day that Billie Eilish drops her new album, Taylor Swift drops new versions to 3 songs off of the Tortured Poets Department. Because of this, Taylor Swift is receiving so much backlash, with fans saying that she is trying to intentionally block Billie Eilish from receiving another #1 hit. Fans are saying things like, I love how Billie said she'd wait until after Ariana released Eternal Sunshine to release her album, and here's Taylor mass releasing to block Billie. The lowest is what? Just mean. Another fan said, the same day as Billie's release, and y'all swear that Taylor is a girl's girl. This one's a bit brutal. Reminder, I'm just the messenger. This fan said, that woman is so annoying and bitter. She has everything. The album broke records, multiple weeks at #1, yet she still wants more. Like, you've had your time, like, go somewhere else. And lastly, the way she did the same with Evermore when Sour dropped, and then with Midnights during SOS era, she's so greedy. I truthfully do not know anything about the inner workings of the music industry or how they do releases, but based on past events, it is hard to tell if this was truly just a coincidence of releases, or if it was a pure strategic move by Taylor Swift to block Billie Eilish.
You don't become a billionaire by being ethical. You don't become a billionaire by being friendly and nice to people. It doesn't work out like that. But the thing is that she's marketed herself in such a way where she could like fart into her phone and sell it, and she'll still have people willing to pay top price for it because of the way she is marketed. She is something that you need to like study the way that she is marketed. It's very, very clever. But I do think that more people are starting to wake up to the fact that, you know, this is not someone that you're going to want to mess with. This is someone who is just out for the money. Even with the whole like NFL thing, there's allegedly, this is pretty alleged, the NFL, and then, because of course her boyfriend Travis, and then also the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, it all has to be like planned around each other because they want to have Taylor Swift sitting there watching Travis. Apparently she's going to be present for like most of the games. And you might be asking why. It's very simple. It's because all of these Taylor Swift fans want to tune in to be able to see her from the viewing balcony. It really is that simple, which means that the NFL then gets more viewership of people tuning in. I'm not going crazy. That I have become so anti-celebrity at the minute that I don't mind picking on the big ones, on Taylor Swift, who has a rabid fan base, because all the things that they claim to love about her, like she's just such a girl's girl, she's so personable, all she really cares, is all bullcrap. You know, I could ramble on about this all day, but I hope in some way I have kind of made my point in the fact that out of the celebrities you should be blocking, Taylor Swift should definitely be one of them. You're wondering why she's not speaking out? Look at who she is partnering up with. I hope I've made my point somewhat. I won't lie, posting anything about Taylor Swift, you're gonna get just an onslaught of things. And, you know, some people don't care about world issues, which I find really quite remarkable. You'd be quite surprised the amount of people who have outwardly spoken and said, why should she care about, you know, humanitarian issues and all of that? And I just think it's icky. I think anyone who says stuff like that is so incredibly icky because it affects everyone. And you shouldn't literally be arse-licking a billionaire whose sponsors are incredibly sketchy. By the way, you should really look into the past partnerships that Taylor Swift has had, because Capital One is not the only one who is extremely skeptical. Okay, she's had quite a few, but she actually ends up doing a lot of her big kind of partnerships and stuff in other countries because she doesn't want it to affect the way that the Americans view her. I've watched several videos on this and it's terribly interesting. She is the capitalist queen. Literally, like, she is the Taylor Swift capitalist queen, and I am just so astounded that so many people just like roll over and don't see through it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.